What if the walls that define your existence were no longer made of static matter? Have you ever considered that the very concept of a home as a fortress of privacy might be the greatest relic of the 20th century? Why do we cling to the illusion of ownership when every resource we consume is transient? Is it possible that the American dream was never about the land itself, but about the speed at which we could move across it? What happens to the soul of a nation when the threshold between the public and the private finally dissolves into a stream of data? You stand on a sidewalk in a quiet suburb of Ohio, but the air feels different than it did 30 years ago. The silence is not empty. It is a pressurized hum of invisible frequencies coordinating the life of the neighborhood. You look at a house, but your eyes struggle to find a fixed point. The facade is a reactive polymer, a skin that breathes and shifts its opacity based on the angle of the sun and the emotional state of those within. Gone are the heavy wooden doors and the brass locks of your ancestors. In their place is a soft haptic interface that recognizes the unique thermal signature of your palm before you even reach for the handle. You step inside, and the transition is seamless. There is no hallway to divide the world. The floor beneath your feet is a self-cleaning composite that feels slightly warm, mimicking the texture of sun-baked stone. The air is filtered to a precise molecular balance, carrying a faint synthesized scent of pine and ozone that resets your circadian rhythm the moment you cross the perimeter. You are no longer in a building, you are inside a node. In 2050, the American home has shed its role as a static container for possessions. As you move through the open living space, the walls themselves adjust. They are translucent partitions of aerogel and embedded LEDs that glow with a soft amber light in the evening. There is no furniture in the traditional sense. The surfaces are modular, rising from the floor or descending from the ceiling through silent magnetic tracks to serve your immediate need. A table for dining, a recliner for rest, a workstation for deep immersion. Everything is functional, temporary, and hyper-efficient. You run your hand along a counter and feel the micro vibrations of the house's central nervous system. It knows your hydration levels, your stress markers, and the exact caloric requirements for your next meal. This is the new architecture of survival. In a world of fluctuating climates and shifting economies, the American home has become a machine for resilience. The basement, once a dark storage for forgotten relics, is now a high-density vertical hydroponic garden and a grey water recycling plant. You can hear the rhythmic trickling of nutrient-rich water through the pipes, a constant heartbeat of self-sufficiency. This structure doesn't just shelter you, it sustains you. It harvests the humidity from the morning fog and converts the harsh glare of the midday sun into concentrated energy stored in the molecular lattice of the roof. But this efficiency comes at a cost you can feel in the very atmosphere. There are no shadows here where secrets can hide. Every movement is a data point. Every breath is a metric. The physical boundary of the family unit has become porous. Your home shares its surplus energy with the neighbor's house 3 miles away through a decentralized grid that never sleeps. You are part of a hive, a collective organism that breathes in unison to keep the lights on and the water flowing. The heavy curtains of the past have been replaced by smart glass that remains clear to the outside world unless a specific privacy protocol is triggered. You are always being seen, not by a person, but by the network that ensures your safety. The American identity, once defined by the rugged independence of a fenced-in yard, has evolved into a sophisticated dependence on the collective. It is a world where the physical and the digital have fused into a single, undeniable reality. Before we move deeper into this shifting landscape of the future, check if you are already subscribed to this channel. This is the only way to ensure you don't lose your place in this unfolding journey, as we explore the radical transformations that are redefining what it means to be human in the 21st century. The stability of this environment is a marvel of engineering, yet it feels incredibly fragile. You realize that if the signal were to drop, the walls would lose their light, the water would stop its cycle, and the very air would grow heavy and stale. This is the paradox of 2050. We have traded the heavy, dusty permanence of the past for a luminous, high-velocity present that requires constant maintenance and total transparency. You walk toward the window, which is now displaying a high-definition overlay of the local weather patterns and the energy cost of the next hour. The horizon is dotted with similar structures, glowing softly like embers in the twilight. There are no more power lines cutting through the sky, no more gas pipes buried in the dirt. Everything is wireless, integrated, and invisible. You feel a sense of profound lightness, as if the weight of owning things has been lifted from your shoulders, replaced by the weight of being constantly connected. The kitchen area is small, designed for the preparation of lab-grown proteins and nutrient-dense pastes that arrive via pneumatic tubes from the local distribution center. The clinking of porcelain and the hiss of a gas stove are sounds of a vanished era. Here, the only sound is the soft chime of a notification and the whisper of the ventilation system. You are an observer in a space that is designed to observe you back. It is an intimate relationship with an algorithm. As the sun sets over the American landscape, the house begins to dim, the walls turning a deep, comforting indigo. The transition is not just aesthetic, it is structural. The house is preparing for the nocturnal cycle of energy conservation. You lie down on a surface that contours perfectly to your spine, feeling the gentle pulse of the home's cooling system. This is the new American life. It is precise, it is clean, it is shared. But as you close your eyes, you can't help but wonder if something essential was left behind in the ruins of the old world, something messy and unoptimized that the silicon and the aerogel could never truly replicate. The house continues its silent work, a silent sentinel in a nation that has finally decided that the price of progress is the end of the wall. We have become a society of ghosts living in transparent cages, watching the future arrive one pixel at a time. The evolution is complete. The home is no longer a place, it is a service. The morning light in a 2050 American metropolis does not signal the beginning of a commute, but the activation of a cognitive state. You wake up not to the jarring ring of an alarm clock, but to a gradual infusion of blue light and a subtle shift in the ionic composition of the air that naturally elevates your cortisol levels. There is no rush to catch a train, no frantic search for car keys, and no sea of brake lights stretching across the interstate. The office, once the cathedral of American productivity, has been dismantled and scattered into the very fabric of your domestic environment. You are a fluid worker, an individual unit of a decentralized global intelligence, and your day begins the moment your neural interface syncs with the task liquidity pool. You feel the soft vibration of a haptic notification on your wrist, a silent signal that a new set of high-priority cognitive tokens has been assigned to your profile. The sounds of this workday are not the clatter of keyboards or the low hum of industrial air conditioning. Instead, you hear the delicate rhythmic clicks of 3D printers in the corner of your living space, assembling a prototype you designed an hour ago, and the melodic, binary chirps of your digital assistants organizing your temporal bandwidth. You move to a corner of your home that has physically reconfigured itself into a focus zone, the walls dampening the external sounds of the city to a low, soothing murmur. In this new America, labor is no longer a place you go, but a function you perform in bursts of hyper-concentration. You are not an employee in the 20th century sense. You are a service provider operating within a massive, algorithmic marketplace that matches your specific skill set to global needs in real time. The stability of the old corporate ladder has been replaced by the high-velocity friction of the gig economy, but at a scale and complexity that would have been unimaginable to your grandparents. You feel the cool surface of your workspace as you engage a holographic overlay that floats in the air before you. Your hands move through the light, manipulating data streams like a weaver at a loom. There is a profound sense of isolation paired with an intense digital hyperconnectivity. You are physically alone, yet you are collaborating with 30 other specialists from Seattle to Miami, their presence felt through spatial audio and synchronized haptic feedback that makes it seem as if they are standing just behind your shoulder. The rhythm of your work is dictated by the ebb and flow of the global network. There are periods of intense, adrenaline-fueled activity followed by forced intervals of cognitive rest mandated by the very system that employs you to prevent burnout and maintain peak efficiency. You watch as a complex simulation of a new, sustainable energy grid for the Southwest is rendered in front of your eyes, every pixel representing a real-world sensor. The fragility of this system is palpable. If the connection flickers, your productivity ceases to exist. There is no physical artifact of your labor, only a shift in the digital architecture of the world. As the morning progresses, you step away from the interface to hydrate. The transition between work and life is no longer a boundary, but a gradient. You are never truly off the clock, yet you're never trapped in a cubicle. This fluidity has reshaped the American psyche, creating a society that is constantly adaptive, perpetually learning, and deeply reliant on the invisible infrastructure that manages the flow of human capital. You hear the distant sound of a delivery drone landing on your roof to drop off a fresh batch of bioprinted nutrients, a reminder that even in this digital age, the physical world requires constant tending. The silence of the neighborhood is a testament to the death of the industrial schedule. People are out walking their dogs at 11 in the morning or gardening at 2 in the afternoon because work has become a ghost that haunts the entire 24-hour cycle. You return to your station, feeling the slight tension in your neck as you re-engage with the stream. The pressure to perform is constant, moderated not by a human manager, but by a relentless set of metrics that track your attention, your accuracy, and your creative output. You realize that while you have gained the freedom of movement, you have lost the freedom of invisibility. In the old world, you could hide in the shadows of a large corporation. In 2050, your value is calculated every second. The contrast between the abundance of information and the scarcity of true downtime creates a permanent state of high alert. You are a node in a machine that never sleeps, contributing to a collective effort that is too vast for any single person to fully comprehend. The American identity has shifted from the pursuit of a static career to the mastery of constant transition. It's a world of incredible intellectual wealth and profound psychological exhaustion. As you navigate these shifting tides of modern existence, you realize that we are all part of a larger story that is being written in real time. If you feel the weight of this transformation and the complexity of our shared future, please leave a comment with the phrase, "The future is a mirror that reflects our deepest fears and our greatest hopes." This simple act of connection reminds us that even in a world governed by algorithms, the human voice remains the ultimate authority. You take a deep breath, the filtered air filling your lungs, and prepare for the next cycle of tasks. The afternoon sun begins to tilt, casting long, sharp shadows across your workspace. You can hear the sounds of your neighbors' lives through the thin, smart material walls. A reminder that the collective is always present, even in your most private moments. The workday is not ending. It is merely shifting its focus. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the haptic feedback on your skin fade into the background. You are a pioneer in a landscape that has no borders, a worker in a factory that has no walls. This is the new American reality, a life of constant motion, total transparency, and the endless pursuit of the next digital horizon. The office is dead, and in its place, we have built a world that demands our presence everywhere, all at once. You reach out and touch the holographic interface one more time, and the cycle continues, silent and relentless, into the evening. The silence of your home is not peace, but a pause in the transmission. You are ready for the next layer of the revelation. You move through the center of your living unit as the afternoon light begins to soften, turning from a sharp laboratory white to a deep, resonant gold. In the America of 2050, the family dinner table has survived, but its meaning has undergone a radical structural metamorphosis. You look across the translucent surface and see not just 2 generations, but 4, all coexisting within a single integrated network of care and longevity. Because of advancements in cellular regeneration and personalized genomic maintenance, your great-grandparents are not fragile relics of a bygone era. They are active cognitive participants in the daily rhythm of the household. The traditional nuclear family, that brief mid-century experiment of isolation, has collapsed under the weight of its own inefficiency, replaced by a dense, multi-generational collective that functions like a biological corporation. You hear the soft, rhythmic hum of a medical-grade air purifier in the corner, a constant reminder that health is no longer a private matter, but a managed environmental variable. Longevity has transformed the American household into a school of perpetual transition. You watch your younger sister interacting with a synthetic companion, a highly sophisticated non-biological entity that sits at the edge of the room. It is not a toy, and it is certainly not a person, yet it occupies a specific emotional frequency in the house. Its surface is a soft, matte silicone that mimics the warmth of human skin, and its eyes move with a calculated empathy that provides a constant stream of social validation for the developing child. You feel a strange chill as you realize that for the younger generation, the distinction between organic and synthetic companionship is a distinction without a difference. The house is a symphony of these subtle overlaps. You hear the chime of a nutrient dispenser preparing a specialized cocktail of supplements for the elders, tailored to their real-time blood chemistry, while simultaneously, the synthetic entity narrates a history of the pre-digital United States in a voice that sounds exactly like a long-lost ancestor. This is how the American family maintains its continuity in a high-velocity world, through the seamless integration of technology into the most intimate spaces of the human heart. The fragility of this arrangement is hidden behind its absolute smoothness. In this era, the greatest risk to the family unit is not poverty or disease, but a misalignment of the data stream. You realize that your relationships are being mediated by the same algorithms that manage the local power grid. Every smile, every argument, and every moment of silence is monitored to ensure the emotional stability of the node. If you find this exploration of our future social fabric insightful and want to see more of how these hidden structures define our lives, please take a moment to leave a like on this video right now. Your support is the energy that allows us to continue peeling back the layers of this complex reality. As you sit down, the house adjusts the ambient temperature to account for the collective body heat of the room. The abundance of time granted by a lifespan that now routinely pushes toward a century and a quarter has created a new kind of social scarcity. There is so much time that moments of genuine, unmediated human connection feel like rare artifacts. You look at your father, whose skin looks decades younger than his chronological age, yet his eyes carry the exhaustion of someone who has had to reinvent his career 5 times over. The pressure to remain relevant, to remain productive, and to remain connected never truly ends. In 2050, the American family is a site of constant optimization. You see it in the way the children are taught to manage their digital reputations before they can even write, and in the way the elderly are monitored for cognitive decline through the analysis of their sentence structures in everyday conversation. The home has become a laboratory of human persistence. You walk toward the window and watch the neighborhood children playing in the communal green space, their movements tracked by overhead drones that act as invisible guardians. The fence has disappeared, not because the world is safer, but because the surveillance is total. The American dream of a private patch of dirt has been traded for the security of a watched collective. You feel the texture of the wall, which is slightly vibrating as it uploads the household's carbon offset data to the municipal registry. Everything is a transaction. Everything is a contribution to the whole. The contrast between the warmth of the family unit and the cold precision of the systems that sustain it creates a permanent tension in your chest. You are safe, you are healthy, and you will likely live for a very long time. But you are also part of a grand experiment in social engineering that has no exit strategy. The sounds of the house begin to shift into the evening mode, a low-frequency pulse that encourages the release of melatonin. You watch the synthetic companion go into a low-power state, its glowing sensors dimming as the family prepares for rest. The American home in 2050 is a place where the biological and the artificial have finally achieved a perfect, if somewhat haunting, equilibrium. You realize that the definition of family has expanded to include anything that provides stability in a world of constant change. Whether it is a blood relative, a reconstructed digital ancestor, or a high-fidelity algorithm, the goal remains the same: to ward off the silence of the vast, interconnected void. You close your eyes, feeling the gentle pressure of the smart fabric chair as it adjusts to your posture, and for a brief second, you wonder what it would feel like to be truly alone, away from the sensors, away from the network, and away from the relentless gaze of a future that never sleeps. But that world is gone, buried under layers of silicon and the collective desire for a life that never has to end. The hum of the house is your lullaby, a digital assurance that tomorrow will be exactly as efficient as today, provided the connection remains strong and the data continues to flow. This is the price of the new longevity, and as you drift towards sleep, you realize you have already paid it in full. The house settles into the night, its amber lights flickering like the pulse of a living creature, guarding the secrets of a nation that has forgotten how to grow old in the dark. You are home, but the home is no longer yours alone. It belongs to the grid, to the past, and to the synthetic future that is already sitting at your table. You leave the controlled microclimate of your home and step into the vast, polarizing geography of the 2050 American landscape. Have you ever wondered if the price of environmental salvation was the total segregation of the human experience? Can a nation truly be united when its citizens are divided by the very air they breathe and the density of the trees above them? You find yourself at the edge of a greenbelt, a massive state-mandated ecological buffer that now rings every major American metropolitan center. Here, the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and the heavy, oxygen-rich output of genetically resilient forest species. The temperature drops by a noticeable 5 degrees the moment you step under the canopy. This is the lungs of the continent, a strictly regulated zone where human activity is limited to maintenance and carbon capture monitoring. You hear the rhythmic, metallic clicking of automated reforestation drones hovering above, their spindly limbs planting saplings into the soil with surgical precision. The silence here is artificial, broken only by the hum of the machines that ensure the forest remains a perfect, high-capacity carbon sink. To live near the Greenbelt is to enjoy a life of filtered abundance where the water is pure and the visual horizon is a wall of emerald. But as you turn back toward the urban core, the sensory landscape shifts with a violent structural intensity. You are now entering the reclaimed urban core, the dense, vertical heart of the 21st century city. The lush greenery of the belt is replaced by the grey and copper tones of living concrete, a material infused with calcifying bacteria that heals its own cracks. The air here is warmer, vibrating with the collective energy of millions living in hyper-proximity. You feel the grit of recycled air on your skin and hear the constant, low-frequency thrum of the magnetic levitation tracks that weave between the skyscrapers like silver veins. In the core, space is the ultimate currency. You walk through a reclaimed district in what used to be downtown Chicago, where former parking garages have been gutted and transformed into multi-level vertical farms and communal living pods. There is no waste here, only the relentless cycle of the circular economy. You smell the sharp, metallic tang of the atmospheric water generators and the faint earthy aroma of the compost reactors that process the city's organic matter. The architecture is a chaotic, beautiful mess of old stone and new carbon fiber scaffolding. This is the heart of American resilience, a place where the scarcity of land has forced a radical new way of being. You see the contrast in the very movements of the people. In the green belts, the pace is slow, almost meditative, reflective of a society that has reached an equilibrium with nature. In the urban core, the pace is frantic and algorithmic, a reflection of a society that is constantly optimizing its survival. You are standing at the intersection of these two worlds, realizing that the stability of the entire country depends on this delicate, tense balance between the protected wild and the engineered hive. The abundance of the forest pays for the density of the city, and the labor of the city sustains the technology of the forest. It is a symbiotic relationship born of necessity, yet it feels as fragile as a pane of smart glass. Small differences in structural planning have led to massive consequences in how Americans perceive their role in the world. If you live in the core, you are a master of efficiency and sharing. If you live on the edge, you are a guardian of the legacy. As you observe this fascinating intersection of nature and machine, consider that the knowledge of this transformation is something that should not be kept in isolation. If you find this vision of a divided yet balanced future compelling, please share this video with someone who needs to see the reality of where we are headed. Sharing this journey is the most powerful way to expand the collective conversation about our shared American destiny. You continue your walk, moving deeper into the core, where the sun is blocked by massive solar-gathering veils stretched between the towers. These veils capture the intense ultraviolet rays and convert them into a soft, diffused violet light that bathes the streets below. The ground beneath your feet is a kinetic pavement that harvests the energy of every step you take, feeding it back into the municipal grid. You feel the slight resistance of the surface, a physical reminder that your very presence is a contribution to the city's survival. The risk here is not an external threat, but an internal failure of coordination. If the circular loops of the core break, the system collapses into chaos. You pass a public hydration station where the water is metered to the milliliter, a stark contrast to the abundant, free-flowing streams you saw in the Greenbelt only an hour ago. This is the reality of 2050, a world where geography is destiny, and where the definition of home depends entirely on which side of the carbon line you stand. The American social fabric has been rewoven into these distinct zones, each with its own rituals, its own sounds, and its own atmospheric pressure. You realize that the rugged individualism of the past could never survive here. In the core, you are part of a massive, interlocking machine. In the belt, you are a component of a managed ecosystem. Both require a level of submission to the collective that would have been alien to the Americans of a century ago. The sun begins to dip below the horizon, and the solar veils above you start to glow with stored luminescence, turning the city into a canyon of neon and shadow. The transition is breathtaking, a testament to human ingenuity in the face of planetary limits. You feel a sense of profound awe for the scale of this achievement, coupled with a deep, lingering anxiety about the cost of maintaining it. The American landscape is no longer a wild frontier to be conquered, but a fragile garden to be meticulously tended. You turn one last time to look toward the dark, silent wall of the green belt in the distance, a silent sentinel protecting the air you breathe. The city hums behind you, a vibrant, pulsing heart that refuses to stop. You are a witness to the greatest reorganization of human life in history, a story of two worlds bound together by a single, invisible thread of survival. The future is not a choice between nature and technology, but a forced marriage of the two, and you are standing right at the altar, watching the vows be exchanged in the cold, violet light of the reclaimed American core. The air grows cooler as the night takes hold, and the sounds of the city intensify, a reminder that in 2050, the American dream never sleeps. It simply recalibrates. You stand at the summit of a reclaimed glass spire, looking out over the American horizon of 2050, and you realize that the air you breathe is no longer a product of chance, but of a profound philosophical recalculation. Have you ever wondered if the true measure of a civilization is not what it builds, but what it chooses to leave behind? Could it be that the frantic expansion of the 20th century was merely a fever dream before the clarity of the current awakening? Is the value of your life defined by the volume of your possessions or by the precision of your experiences? What happens to a nation when it finally accepts that more was a poison and that better is the only antidote? How do you redefine a dream that was once built on the infinite consumption of a finite world? The answer is etched into the very texture of the city below you, where the blinding neon of the past has been replaced by the soft, bioluminescent glow of integrated urban systems. You feel the cool evening breeze, a deliberate movement of air regulated by the green belts to maintain the thermal equilibrium of the core. In this new America, the concept of the American dream has undergone a radical structural elevation. It is no longer a vertical climb toward personal accumulation, but a horizontal integration into a sustainable collective. You are an observer of a society that has traded the heavy, exhausting pursuit of ownership for the light, fluid grace of access. The house you inhabit, the tools you use, and the energy you consume are no longer trophies of status. They are the shared instruments of a high-functioning existence. You hear the distant melodic chime of the city's central clock, a sound that no longer signals the start of a shift, but the synchronization of a million individual rhythms. The sensory density of this moment is overwhelming. The smell of rain-slicked solar glass, the hum of a world that has finally learned to repair itself, and the profound silence of a population that no longer feels the need to scream for attention. You realize that the stability of 2050 was bought with the currency of restraint. The abundance you see is not one of material excess, but of temporal freedom and biological health. The contrast between the old world of 2024 and this current reality is not just technological, it is spiritual. You are part of a generation that values the integrity of a carbon-neutral supply chain over the convenience of a disposable plastic artifact. This shift from more to better has reshaped the American soul, turning the rugged individual into a sophisticated steward of the commons. The fragility of the past has been replaced by a resilient interconnectedness that acknowledges our deep, inescapable dependence on one another. As you watch the stars begin to emerge through the clear, unpolluted atmosphere, you feel a sense of completion. This journey through the layers of the future, from the dissolution of the threshold in our homes to the kinetic labor of the fluid worker and the multi-generational sanctuary of the new family, has led to this single, crystalline realization. We have become the architects of our own survival by learning the art of the limit. The American landscape is no longer a battlefield of competition, but a garden of optimization, where every element, from the smallest sensor to the largest forest, plays a vital role in the maintenance of the whole. This is the legacy we are building, a legacy of quality over quantity, of depth over surface, and of meaning over noise. The evolution is not a loss of freedom, but an expansion of what it means to be truly free in a world that finally understands its own boundaries. You are a citizen of a nation that has traded its hunger for a sense of peace. The narrative of 2050 is not a story of machines, but a story of a human spirit that found its way back to the center of the world by moving to the edges of its own ego. The light of the city below begins to pulse with a slow, steady rhythm, reflecting the heartbeat of a society that has finally found its pace. You are home, and for the first time in history, home means the entire planet. Before we conclude this immersive exploration into the heart of the future, check if you are already subscribed to this channel. This is the only way to ensure you continue to receive these deep structural insights into the world that is coming, and your presence here is what makes this research possible. If you watched until here, it is because you like this case. Leave a comment saying, "I watched until here," and so I can get to know you and know who really likes the stories here on the channel. Your engagement is the bridge between the present and the future we are describing. Please take a moment to leave a like on this video to support our work and share it with someone who needs to understand the profound shift that is currently unfolding in the American identity. Sharing this vision is the first step toward making it a reality. You take one last look at the horizon, the violet light of the urban core fading into the deep indigo of the protected wild. The cycle is complete. The dream has been redefined. You step back from the edge, feeling the warmth of the smart material walls as they glow to welcome you back inside. The future is no longer a distant threat. It is the ground beneath your feet, the air in your lungs, and the shared purpose in your heart. We have crossed the bridge, and on the other side, we found not a wasteland, but a masterpiece of human restraint and technological harmony. The story of America in 2050 is the story of a civilization that chose to grow up instead of just growing larger. The silence of the night is your witness, and the steady pulse of the grid is your assurance that we have finally, after all these years, arrived where we were always meant to be. The lights dim, the sensors settle into their nocturnal watch, and the nation sleeps with the quiet confidence of a dream that has finally come true in the most meaningful way possible. This is the end of the journey and the beginning of the rest of our lives. We are the architects, we are the observers, we are the future.